We have the incredible Binu Dhindsa today as our guest, and I want to just introduce you to this powerhouse woman. Binu is an intuitive and spiritual coach, an inspirational speaker, the podcast host of High Vibes with Binu, and a certified hypnotherapist. She's a mom of three adults and has a master's in epidemiology and biostatistics, which is where her passion for preventing disease first started. She is passionate about helping spiritually inclined women leaders in life and business by releasing self judgment, shattering subconscious illusions, and opening up to infinite possibilities so that they can live the extraordinary lives they are meant to live. Yes, that's you. So you can live the extraordinary life that you are meant to live. Binu teaches others how to think in a limitless way, to embody self talk mastery, adjusting your minds to higher, more loving thoughts in every moment of every day, and following the deep desires they have, all leading to greater joy, abundance, and overall peace. She is also the creator of Limitless, a soul based empowerment program that will be launching this year to help women leaders to live as their full expression of their soul, shatter their upper limits, and soul aligned action, and beautiful support by their side. Everyone deserves a wing woman and a soulful hype squad in their lives. And that's what Binu has created. So you can understand why we have asked her to join the Ambitious, Awakened, and Aligned podcast this week. Here comes Binu. This feels like it's been a while in the making. So I had such a blessed experience when I saw this event, Manifest Her. And Binu and Renee created this powerful, amazing, magical event. And everything inside of me said, yes, you need to go to that. So I said yes. And I shared with Binu that as I was driving down the highway, I was going by myself because it just happened that way. And it's not something that I have done before or used to doing. And so I was checking in with myself. And from the moment I walked in to your event, I knew exactly why I was meant to be there. So thank you for joining us
Mm.
today.
Thanks for having me, Lori. I'm so excited. That just confirms everything that event was meant to happen. We had so many signs, but hearing from you, I was like, okay, just another confirmation. It's like the universe needed to give me more and more and more so that we actually plan another one.
Oh, that's amazing. Because I remember you saying that day that you knew you had been nudged to do events, and
Mhm.
yet there were those things that were, "Do I? Am I? Do I?
Mhm.
Am I?" Kind of like my drive down the road to the event, and, you followed that, and
Mhm.
look what was created, and everything from the location, like, the energy of it
Mm.
was the energy of it
Mm.
and the feeling that it expanded. I could see people expanding in real time.
Yeah, me too, and that's what brought tears to my eyes, honestly, and I love that there's someone like you that gets to receive, like a leader like you that gets to receive and can give us that confirmation because Renee and I were doing that work every week, every time we had a conversation, every time we made another decision, we were aligned throughout the whole thing, and honestly, the signs and synchronicities were mind-blowing. So it's like this knowing, but our physical body, mind still right? We always have that, like, are people gonna come?
For sure.
Right? Are they gonna have the experience that we want them to, have? And honestly, like, talk about trust and surrender, but
Mm.
that really helps because that is actually what we tried to create. And it was something that was on our heart for a long time. We synchronistically came together going, "I wanna do an event." "No, I wanna do an event." And I'm like, "Well, we have a lot of the same people. I think we should just do this together," which had discomfort because I am usually a solo flyer.
Wow, that's incredible.
And we hired a event planner, which I'd never done before.
Mm.
So and her big tagline is, something like, "To every last detail, every last detail." And so the ease that came with hiring her was, again, another mind-blowing thing, which elevated everything.
Well, and it allows you to stand in your magic. So, when I did the festival in Niagara last year, Wake the F Up Festival, we did the same thing. I went out on a limb and hired an event planner, Gretchen, and she was absolutely and even through the first part of the process, it's, "Did I really need that? Oh," and by the end, of course,
Yes.
because then you got to sit both yourself and Renee
Mm,
just got to stand in your magic and
mm.
not have to worry if the coffee wasn't out at the right time, but even more so just all those amplified tiny details, which really did extend and I would say expand the energy that was in the room.
Yeah, thank you for that because it was a big decision on my point because I usually don't hire her. Kim was our event planner for my smaller events that I started doing about a year and a half ago. And even one I just did yesterday. She attended as a guest and I said to her, next time, like, yeah, I'm bringing you on. Like I was picking up chairs, my husband and I were bringing in the chairs and I'm like, right, I'm here trying to focus on what I'm doing and the conversation and the holding the energy for the women, and I was pulled in too many directions. So hindsight's always that beautiful thing, right? So at Manifest Her, it was like, yeah, we got to show up and be in our magic. So thank you for even saying that.
Yeah.
It was truly that. Yeah.
I knew the moment that we had our first hug that we were kindred spirits, and that, so I reached out right after the event and said, "Let's keep this conversation going and see where our worlds are meant to come together." And so, Ambitious, Awakened, and Aligned, our podcast is for women leaders, high achieving women
Mm,
who deep inside are truly seeking this place where wellness and spirituality and success can coexist, and yet that paradigm is just slowly cracking open. And so I really am excited about the conversation with you because this is your mission in the world. You are helping women leaders as well to see where the spirituality and success can merge. So
mhm.
share with us, you talk about this framework called FASTR. And it's funny because I was just listening to an energy update for March, and it said that the slow lane is the fast lane,
Oh, please
right?
send that to me.
I will. The slow lane is the fast lane, and I could feel every cell in my body take that one in. So help us with this faster model and how do we slow down?
Yeah, this is good because the way I've been saying it is slow down to speed up. We've heard that before, or like slow down physically, thoughts, body, speed, in order to get so in tune with what's going on inside of us, so that we can grow at the soul level in a faster way. And a lot of this started, Lori, for me with a coach I was working with years ago, and she said something to me as I was just learning about how to bring this spirituality thing into practical life. I'm a very practical person, which I think a lot of us from science and school and like right logical thinking, we've all come from there. I needed evidence, and so my background is research, so I come from a research world, so the evidence thing was big. So I was like, the spirituality is just lovely. It's so lovely. But how do you help me? How do I use this with my kids? How do I use this to make my relationship with my husband better? Because that was my thing back then, right? Was like, how do I make this better? Because that's where I want to do this. And so she had said, Binu, the whole idea is soul growth, right? We're spiritual beings having a human experience. And so, as a soul that has this inner spirit, we're here for soul growth. And she had said, supposedly, honestly, I just believed her because I liked it. And she said, the faster we grow at the soul level here in this iteration of our life on earth in this body, when we transition to the next world, which, it's all still a mystery, right? For many of us, that it's better. It's like we elevate, we ascend at a next level the more growth we do in this earth life. And say it how you want to say it, but in the practical brain of Binu, I was like, okay, so I just have to work past all my, negative thinking and my subconscious programming that I've had from my childhood, and let go of the self judgment and the self sabotage that I'm sitting in, and stop getting mad with my children, and tapping into that deeper level of love and calmness and listening and all the practical things. And honestly, I was like, sign me up.
Yeah.
If literally you're telling me I just have to work on myself faster in order to have the extraordinary life that I want to have, sign me up.
Mm.
So that's where the faster came, but I would fall into the societal subconscious that would say, don't tell people to go faster. This whole hustle grind culture is giving people anxiety attacks and high stress response. So I shrunk myself. I stopped talking like that.
Mm.
And then just recently, I'd say maybe the last 18 months, honestly, the universe is just sending me more signs, more Instagram posts, more people like you that is confirming, oh no, this is the way through.
Mhm.
And then I've had the personal experience, right? Does that answer it for you? At least the
Absolutely. So when you say you've had the personal experience, I love that you come at things from that logical perspective first. Me too. That science proven methodology for some reason, and, to be hardwired that way, I actually think it helps in explaining it as well because when you can create evidence for people, they're more open.
mm,
Especially with, we're if again, we're speaking to in many ti I come from a corporate background, so that corporate leadership and your science-based experiences, having that. So, for you, when you say, "Well, if that's all I had to do," how did it start to crack open for you?
mm. Yeah, because how do I tell someone that this works?
Yeah.
Unless I share with them how I've changed, right?
Yes.
And the easiest area of my life to explain this is with my kids and with my husband, like communication,
Mhm.
right? That art of communication. Nobody taught me. I was a reactive. People joke when or they laugh with me when I say this. I was a very angry mom in my house, yet outside of my house, all was good.
That's hilarious. So you had the big smiles and life is good, and then not so good.
Yeah, and even
Yeah.
I would even think to myself, "Boy, I can be so calm outside of my house." And as soon as, like, I don't know, 3 kids, milk spills, I said I wouldn't be the mom that yelled at spilled milk, but I was, literally. I remember yelling because someone spilled the milk and then catching myself going, "Wait, I said I would never do this. What's happening?"
Mhm.
And so what I so the spiritual piece to me, what I really discovered, and it's simple, yet the practice of it is not easy because we have to undo what has what is done within us, right?
Mhm.
And so it was this whole idea, the framework that I'm using is it's called FASTR, like, and I'll go through it. It's first knowing that we have this unconditional loving fragment, F is for fragment, that we have this divine fragment that's a piece of the universe. We all have it, whether you say God, universe, source. I know you believe that. It's like that internal fragment of the big divine essence. So it's like all unconditionally loving. We all have it,
Mhm.
right? It's just dormant. So mine was dormant. What was strong was my fear-based, my I'm not a good enough mom. I got to control my children otherwise it's going to turn into crazy people. I don't know what I was thinking, right? And so that unconditionally loving essence, that voice, that nudge, that wisdom, that guidance, our own indwelling spirit, right? So that had to first, I had to acknowledge it. So that's the A. So acknowledge and access it more. And so how I access it, like I'm looking at you right now, my hand goes on my heart, and now I just do it automatically.
Mhm.
So I'm tapping inward, right? So okay, I have that unconditional loving essence. S was is to like is spark, is like what's that feeling, that spark of enthusiasm. We've all had it with our children, those moments that they're on stage at a concert and it like, you just feel that soul hit or when you and I are maybe speaking at an event or running a retreat, you get that soul aligned feeling, right? Then T with my acronym is turn up the volume, right? So now we have it, we know what it feels like. We have to turn that volume up so we can hear her. And so this is the slow motion, and then E is for exercise it. And R is this like remembrance. I read this in a book that it's like we are actually on this journey to remember who we are at our trueness.
Mhm.
And we have to go through parents, society telling us getting programmed, having that fear, reacting from it, and then coming into this awareness to come back to it.
Yeah, I think that the truth of it all is the coming home process.
Mm.
Is that it is inside of us. We're becoming her, but really we're uncovering and reconnecting with her. So I love the FASTR. That acronym is so beautiful.
Mm.
And how do you get that first little crack open? Because even when you were talking about the F, that fragment piece, I'm thinking about when we hear the word spirituality, what that essence even means for people. Because
Mm.
for a long time, I was talking about spirituality and strategy can coexist. And you can sort of see the eyes glaze over of like, what is that exactly? So, how do you define the spirituality piece to, again, coming at it from almost a scientific perspective, help us with what that truly means? What's the essence of that?
Mm. That's a great question. And I have 2 examples coming up. So one on the business side, like when you said spirituality and strategy, I use the words like soul alignment and strategy. So we
Mhm.
know strategy. It's like do this, do that. It's the doing, it's the masculine, right? And the soul alignment is the feminine. And so the essence to me is the feminine energetics.
Mhm.
It's the how does it feel? Does it feel aligned? Inside of me. Like, I'm very physical as well, so how does it feel? Does it feel light or does it feel constricted? Does it feel open or does it feel like anxiety? Right? And so a lot of times, at least over the time when I'd have a coach who'd say, "Okay, Binu, you want to do 3 reels a day on Instagram, you want to write your messaging like this, you have to send 5 emails a day." And then she would say, "How does that feel?"
Mhm.
Right? And that's the one thing hardly any coach ever did with me, and so now it's all I do, and I'd be like, "Well, that doesn't feel good." Okay, so what does feel good? So the essence is like a deeper spiritual value. What feels true?
Mhm.
What feels good? And to follow that and to trust that because that is the universe coming through, helping us with action, like soul-aligned action.
Mhm.
In my personal life, it's really when people say my dad asked me this, like, "What do you mean by spiritual?" And honestly, all I say, it's like unconditional love.
Mm.
Like, am I coming from love? Am I expressing with my kids, with my husband, from a place of unconditional love? And I wasn't, right? So this was the practice piece.
Mhm.
Kids would do well. Oh, it'd be wonderful. Kids would do spill the milk, quote unquote. And I'd freak out. I'd react in an angry way. And so I had to work on okay, wait, pause. What is unconditional loving right now for
Mhm.
me and for them? And that took practice, patience, pausing, that exercise. So I trained my mind, body, and soul to react differently, to slow the heck down internally. That's the essence.
Mhm.
To be tapped into that unconditional loving essence, which is the word I use,
Mhm.
as much as possible.
Because we can only actually share that unconditional love at the level that we feel it inside.
Mm.
And I really feel like that's so often in our world, we start from the external.
Mhm.
The way you're describing it is this is an inside job.
Yes.
You go inside. You asked yourself how to find that love so that you could express that external with your children or your husband.
Mhm.
So what are some practices? Because I mean, you and we're aligned here. This is
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
deep, which is why we instantly had that connection.
Yes.
And what I really see so many women seeking is, Binu, I'm with you. Like I can picture them right now driving in their cars going, "Yes, yes, more. Please. Yes, yes,"
Mm,
or sitting at their desks or wherever they're listening and thinking, "That's it. That's what I'm seeking."
mm.
What are the practices to get there?
When you're asking me that, there's one thing that's coming up super strong in my head, which is, releasing self-judgment.
Oh, so big. Let's go there.
Let's go there. And I heard somebody, I don't know who I was listening to yesterday, Brennan Bouchard or somebody, and they were saying, we're not giving ourselves enough time to hear ourselves. Right? So this unconditional loving essence, it's all there. It's dormant in many of us. It's quiet. We practice it sometimes, but then that thing happens with your kid and you lose your crap, right? And and it is this piece of it's all good, but all to the level of how much are you judging yourself? How much do you need to be right? How much do you need to get your point across so everybody understands that you know what you're doing? Right? To me, it's a worthiness thing, right? It's a deep, unconditional love for ourself that needs to be fostered first.
Mhm, mhm.
So, how do we do that? Yeah, to me, some of the practices were it wasn't meditation for me, it was stillness. I'm like everybody else who says, I try to meditate, I can't, I suck at it. And now I realize it's like, oh, we're not supposed to have zero thoughts. We're supposed to become aware of the thoughts, and it's what we do with those thoughts.
I love that. I remember, when I first I resisted meditation for so long and even I knew my intuition was telling me this will be something that will serve you well, and yet it was that the stuck was every time I would try, my thoughts would be so out of control, and that misperception that, "No, no, I can't have thoughts and be meditating properly." There was so much judgment within myself on how I was meditating, and then I was challenged, literally challenged to a 30-day, meditation with Dr. Joe from a
Mm.
lovely spiritual guide that I have, and she said, "If you only get through 1 minute today, that's growth. And if you get through 5 minutes by the end of the first week, that's amazing." And that was exactly what she said. Do not judge your thoughts. They will come. You can move through them. And so I went 40 days with Dr. Joe the Alchemist, and it was life changing.
You're gonna laugh, Lori.
I had to get
Um,
there.
you're gonna laugh. I think you just reminded me when I started this meditation, trying to calm my thoughts and calm myself down, it was Deepak Chopra and Oprah Winfrey. Remember, they were running these 21-day
Yeah.
meditations for
Yes.
free. So I would
Yes.
do their free ones. And I remember so I did them, I think, 3 times. The first time it came about, I think I did 1 minute in the 30 day or the 21 days, beat myself up. I suck. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm wrong. The next time it came around a few months later, I think I did 3 of the days.
Mhm.
Again, okay, progress, but what's wrong with me? I can't even
Mhm.
do that like 10 minutes a day. And I remember by the third time I did, it was a few months later, and I'd be working actively on myself. And I do want to talk more about the self judgment. And I got through, I think, 20 days.
So good.
So close to the 21 day. And it's so fascinating because I think that probably taught you and taught me
Mhm.
we needed other people. I needed somebody else and my own practice to tell me, like, oh, it's not about actually perfectly doing the 21 days, right? It's about progress. But it's so funny how we're aligned there,
That's
right?
amazing. Yeah,
But this, yeah,
I've
yeah, go
come
ahead.
to understand there's something about isolation, right? Like, I think the inner work we're doing with ourselves, for ourselves, And yet there's something so expansive about not doing that in isolation. Like, having
Mm,
conversations like this or having
mhm.
someone maybe challenge us as a friend or a coach or a mentor is it's those pivotal moments that allow us to be sitting here where we are. And I think it's so important for us to share those things because, people we're all on a journey. We put a hand back to bring someone along, we put a hand forward and grab it from someone else,
Yes.
a little further on the journey. So let's go back to self-judgment.
I adore you. It's like every time you say something else, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, we're so parallel universes
Totally.
here." Of course, right? So the self-judgment, so this is something I've really, like, dived deep into because when I saw what I was happening inside of me, and this coach I use, this is her whole message is living judgment free. And so the things that really stuck with me are blame, shame, guilt.
Mhm.
Blame, shame, guilt. Like, I've just memorized this. Guilt is, right, how many women say it just in conversation, "Oh, I feel guilty. I feel guilty." It's like we're creating, right? Law of attraction says the thing you think about is what you create.
Mhm.
And so I realized, like, "Oh my gosh, I'm thinking about being guilty. I'm blaming myself." I didn't experience a lot of shame, or I know a lot of my clients deal with shame. So guilt is like I've done something wrong.
Mhm.
So this is the practical stuff, right? And so whenever I would sit with, okay, I'm feeling guilty. Wait, did I do something wrong?
Mm.
No, right? Even with our clients, right? It's like, did you do something wrong? The answer is always no. Somebody else, society is making what they're doing or not doing wrong. So I started undoing these knots.
Mm.
So there was this guilt knot, and it's like, no, I wasn't doing that wrong. Okay, no. So every time I feel guilty, I pause and I do this work. Quick question. Did I do something wrong? No, I didn't. We just have different values. Okay, no, I'm good with what I did. It's what I wanted to do. I owned it. I honored myself. It's just different. And then the shame is you are wrong. Like that's the deep
Mhm.
worthiness, right? Like hand on my heart, so many people
Mhm.
have been told in their upbringing that they're too loud, too quiet, too big, too small.
Yeah.
So it's subconsciously programmed and they don't feel good enough, right? So just when I ask people, like that actually means that you as a human, as a spiritual being are wrong, but you can't be wrong because you're made from the good stuff like I'm made from the good stuff. It's the same good stuff that Mother Teresa's made out of, right? And Deepak Chopra and Oprah Winfrey. It's like we're all made of this fragment
Mhm.
of the greater universal force. So I'd hear that and I'd be like, "Oh," like, I'd be, like, mind blowing. "Oh my gosh, nobody taught us this." And then the blame, it's just knotted in, right? It's like that is the big thing I dealt with in my household is I as a mom, I blamed my kids for things, not knowing unconsciously. Blame my husband for not doing what I thought he should do when he had no idea how to deal with this very sensitive, empath, emotional woman.
Mhm. How could they? They needed a map. I mean, we didn't even have our own map, and we thought we could marry someone and they should have the map.
I remember once he said this to me, "You keep telling me that I should do this and I should do that, and if you just tell me because I really don't understand what it is I'm supposed to do." And
Mhm.
I think we weren't yelling,
Mhm.
and, it was just one of those moments where he said that calmly, lovingly, and I looked at him, I'm like, "You really don't know? You've been married to me for, like, we're almost at 30 years. You've been married to me for, like, 20 years." And he says, like, "I'm a guy. I actually don't know." And honestly, I went then down a
Mm.
so I don't know if you know about this video that I sent to a lot of my clients. It's called Men's Brains versus Women's Brains. I actually think it's like a priest at a church who is a marriage counselor and a comedian. So he has this YouTube. You can actually look it up. So the listeners can just look up The Tale of Two Brains or Men's Brains versus Women's Brains on YouTube. It's a 13-minute video. He's like hilarious and he has two brains and he just talks about how, I mean, taking a tangent here, but this really helped me understand that I was blaming people for things that they actually had no idea about.
No idea. And honestly, it's so fascinating. You talk a lot about like that feminine masculine difference. And if we could just acknowledge, I'm gonna grab this link and I'll put it in the show notes because when I came to understand how linear men's brains are, and I'm definitely painting a brush here. For the most part, we're back to science. Their brains are linear and ours are like a web. Women's are like a web.
Mhm.
And I really fully thought my husband should get in that web and understand everything that was going on in there. I didn't have as much trouble understanding his linear, which is true, right? So I think part of it is that we have more of that intuitive, empathetic, many of
Mm,
us, you and I for sure. And so then in our partners, when we're into this judgment space, because if we are back to how we judge self, we're going to portray that outwardly as well. So the work is for us to work on not judging ourselves as much so that we can extend that same grace in every relationship that
mm,
we have.
mm.
And my husband and I would have had the same conversations of just,
Yes.
"Really?" And I remember when you said that, I'm like, I can almost picture the moment we had the same conversation and almost like a plea for, "Please just tell me."
Mhm. Yes. That is I think that's what my husband said to me.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, I love this conversation because it's like this it's like we're releasing self-judgment at the same time trying not to judge the other. Like it's not just, "Oh, I'm gonna clear all my judgment and then I'm gonna talk to my closest people."
Right.
No. It's like this ongoing like undoing, like I would blame him and then he wouldn't react well, and then I'd have to catch myself and go, "Okay, wait, that didn't go well. What would I do different?" Like, it was this ongoing, "Okay, that didn't come out loving. No, that's not what I meant. I meant this."
Mhm.
And then he'd be like, "Okay, well, why didn't you just say that?" Right? And I actually think I was thinking, like, where did I get programmed of how to talk to him the way I talk to him? Which I remember one time I said, "If you truly love me, you would know what I'm thinking."
Oh, how
I think I'm gonna laugh and cry in the same breath.
yeah,
And he's looking at me going, "What?"
yeah. How do I even process that is probably how he's feeling, because I know, for my husband, he's always like, "Just don't question my love."
Yeah,
It's not a love thing, it's just we're all hardwired so different,
yeah.
and we
And I think, I think it came so I think for me, I watched a lot of soap operas growing up.
which was your favorite?
Young and the Restless.
Okay.
Talk about the worst thing a teenage girl
Could
who's never
ever.
dated watches and learns unconsciously, subconsciously, because consciously I'm like, "That's horrible, how they talk to each other." And
It's
then
so bad. Binu, I have to tell you this it's funny, but it's from a sad story. So one of our best friends, their mom has terminal cancer, and so they've been caring for her, and she's like our mama too, and just so much love for them. And so her favorite show is Y&R. And so our friend took a leave of absence from being a school teacher, and he sits at home and watches Y&R with his mama as she's in recovery right now and going through treatments, and he will send us videos of, like, dressing up and doing a voiceover pretending to be one of the characters on Y&R, and it has flashed us back to childhood, I swear. And it's still going on. It's still actually influencing people on what they believe about relationships. So,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
can
kind of
understand that.
fascinating because, like, we grew up like that too. My brothers watched it with my mom.
Yeah. Well,
And
there
this is where
wasn't
we
much on TV, right? So, it was sort of your only option, I guess, if you were doing daytime. But for sure from our upbringings too, right? I mean, we're young, we're influential, we're still developing our brains, and so we're taking on whatever is around us as far as how we build what we think communication and relationships look like.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And, what the contrast here is what I started realizing when I was putting all these dots together, it's like Like, I'm not calm, and I wanna be calm. Like,
Mm.
I really wanna be calmer. It just kept coming to me, this unconditional loving thing I was trying to create inside of me and operate like that with my household. Yet I kept hearing, like, "Just be calm, be
Mm.
calm." And so I dove deeper into this whole idea of what calm can do, and now I just have it's like a like, I don't haven't yelled in years. I haven't raised my voice. Like, in my household, we haven't taken each other the wrong way for too long, like, because 'cause I've stayed calm, and I realize the only way for people to hear us and understand us is, like, calm and unconditional love. And it's
So
like an
powerful.
ongoing it's so pow to not be blamed, right? So that's where I wanted to finish up the blame piece.
Mhm.
To not feel blamed or to not to put blame onto someone, and when you're calm and in that place of unconditional love, no one can take you wrong. But we're always doing this like, we're human, right? So the human brain shows up when we're tired, stressed, long day, haven't slept, haven't eaten well, and so we just have to catch it.
Yes.
Like, catch it and then, "Oops, sorry about that. Let me try that again. I didn't mean to come across that way."
Which
And I
is
think
self-awareness and accountability too,
mm,
right? Like really being able to own who you are and how you're
mhm.
showing up. And I love that as you said the calm piece so much like felt my whole brain go because it's the if you're calm, they're calm. We
Yeah.
co-regulate
Yes.
and then you're not perceived to be in judgment, so I don't have to be defensive.
Yeah.
I don't have to bring my judgment back then. That's so beautiful.
Mm,
I've never heard it said
mm,
that way. So, how would you
mm.
describe calm?
Well, the way you just said it was so beautiful. I'm glad this is recorded because I wanna listen back to what you just said.
Mhm.
Oh, how do I define calm? So I can only define it in my way,
Mhm.
which is when I'm talking to anyone, including before we got on this call, because now I've trained myself to do this, is I drop into my heart
Mm.
and I just take a couple breaths really slow. So just when I think attention on my heart, I've dropped out of my head.
Mhm.
And then I just think, and I sometimes I'm not even sure how to answer your question. I think what I do is it's the self-talk. I just go calm, 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 being love, love, love.
I love that.
Like even that, I feel it.
I felt that. I felt that. I think everyone listening, just take a moment wherever you are and pause, and can you do that? Just a deep couple of deep breaths in. Calm, calm, calm. Love, love, love.
Mm,
Imagine if we did that a few times throughout the day
mhm,
or whenever that intensity comes up or the shame, blame, guilt comes up. Yeah. It's so heavy. As you
mm,
were talking about it, it's so interesting because as you were talking about the guilt, shame, blame, it feels so heavy.
mm,
Even just for people to notice that, the
mm,
conversation felt heavy.
mm,
And then as soon as you started talking calm, you can feel the difference even in the
mm.
vibration of the language and the conversation we're having.
Yeah.
It's so real, it's so beautiful. I carried so much guilt around for so long,
Mm.
and it's exhausting.
And I think, nobody told us any different. We followed what we saw. We
Mhm.
followed what we thought was quote unquote normal. Maybe we even normalized that it was okay to yell at our kids. At least I know I did. And it was interesting. There was one moment I must have said, you're just having this memory, this conversation is bringing this memory.
Mm.
And I was talking to a woman, and I remember thinking, well, everybody yells at their kids at some point. And I don't even know who she was. I remember her looking at me, and she just said, "It doesn't have to be that way. I don't believe that's true." And I went home thinking, all we need is one person to
Mhm.
to bust your belief.
Oh,
And
so
I
true.
and I remember thinking, "What? Maybe I can be that mom that doesn't yell."
I love that you took it that way because you could have applied more guilt
Yeah.
Instead, you explored it, you got curious.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never yelled at my children.
Mm.
Yeah. But, there's stuff to that too.
Mm.
So for me, I would say it was more like repressed anger, not allowing myself, and I'm just unraveling that over the last couple of
Mm.
years of somewhere along the line, I was taught that anger or expressing that was bad.
Mm.
So I learned to just not, and now I don't even know how to. I'm actually trying to teach myself how to feel this emotion of anger. We talked about this at Manifest Her at our table.
Mm.
When you did one of your exercises, this came up, and our table was actually talking about anger and expressing anger. And we had most of the table, similar to the conversation you just shared, where they were struggling or had struggled with really expressing what they felt was too much anger to their children. And I was sitting there going, "Yeah, I've not done that." And I'm not, neither is good or bad. It was just
Yeah, it fascinates me,
it's
right?
fascinating. It's not an expression that, because my mom, I think, was a yeller or a hider, and so I leaned to the hide side. So then that also was not a really appropriate way of dealing with communication. So now it's, being able to have hard conversations in a beautiful, loving way.
It's interesting because, I love what's going through my head, right? So you say, "Well, I never yelled at my kids." It's so interesting how our that saboteur part of our brain is like, "Oh, wow." Like, right, there's a part that quickly, I'd say a split second,
Mhm,
that thought, "Oh, wow, Binu, like, you yelled and she never yelled." And then I quickly, it's like, could adjust the thoughts because this is the work, right? This the
mm,
spiritual part of, I know I'm made of unconditional love, and I know that we've all been programmed.
mhm,
And I just realized your subconscious mind tagged on to a part that your mom was expressing that you saw. My subconscious programming tagged on to the anger my dad portrayed. There was no hiding. So there,
mhm,
right? I didn't tag on to the quiet version of my mom. I tagged on to, and it's part of my personality, right?
mhm,
And my subconscious grabbed that from him. So it's
mhm.
interesting because right away, spiritually, it's like we've both just had a different experience,
Yes.
not right or wrong, just this is our experience.
Mhm.
And now we're both learning to express ourselves in a new way based on where we've come from.
Yes, because I still had the judgment piece. I still had the guilt piece. I still
Mm,
carried
mm,
similar emotional experiences to you from a different lens. And so it's coming back to this place of non-judgment and, self-love. That's the message in it all. And I
mm,
do think it's so beautiful that we all have different expressions of that,
mhm,
and that we can come together and have these real conversations to support other people to realize we're all on a journey. The
mhm.
journey is coming home to ourselves
Yes.
and finding that pure love. Let's finish up with this. You are so beautiful.
Oh,
I am just in awe of this
thank
conversation.
you.
I want to hear more about your Limitless, and I believe it's just launching, and I'm seeing all sorts of marketing out to the world. So can you please tell us all about it? I love, love, love Limitless as a word.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm receiving all of it, which has also been a lot of my work, right?
Mhm.
Is receiving, I think, all of us as women.
Okay, amen. That is
Thank you.
my word. Huge word on my door, on my whiteboard right now, is pleasure and receive.
Mm,
Learn to actually understand what those are as women. And for me personally, I'm really working on that. So aren't we so aligned?
yeah. So thank you for that. I'm loving this, Lori. Like I'm overjoyed at how this conversation has unfolded. And it's like, of course, from the moment I met you, it's like we knew how this, we just didn't know what we were going to talk about. So ah, beautiful. So thank you for asking. So Limitless came from all this work that I've been doing that really was the lead up to the Manifest Her, which when you really dive into manifestation, to me it's like thinking in an infinite way. Is
Mhm.
to know that like there's an infinite way of doing everything. There's infinite perspectives available in communication with other people. There's an infinite source of money to be had for all of us. And I say that in a very unapologetic, very feminine, free way, because I really believe that we can be and do and have anything we want. That's been a big mantra that I've been opened up to. And it's really up to us to release the judgment, be in that place of self love, and stay open to what is possible without knowing the outcome. And then the universe comes in and helps us 10x that.
Mm,
And whether it's relationship, deep love, like there's an infinite depth of love we can feel within ourselves. Like it's not confined within our physical body, right?
mm,
And so now it's like the expansion with our mind, the expansion with our businesses, with, how we operate day to day. So limitless is not just for business, it's really for everything. But my main focus is like health, wealth, and relationships,
mm. Amazing.
whatever that means for you. And so it's really limitless thinking, but it's like what we said at the beginning, it's whatever your strategy is in this physical world, make sure you're pairing it with the soul alignment. So when the
Yes.
block comes up, the limit will come up,
Mm,
right? That obstacle will show up. And to have a group of other like spirited women, like you said to me, I love that word,
mm,
in a group environment that are cheering us on,
mm.
helping us move through the blocks faster so that we can live the extraordinary life that we're meant to live.
It's awesome and
Thank you.
so necessary.
And then I had this thing come up, is just happened today, was a download I had, which I wanted to share with you. This is the feminine freedom model. That's what I'm calling it.
Ooh.
Feminine freedom model.
So
We
as you
want
said,
internal freedom.
expansive thinking, I was
Mm,
thinking expansive being, which as soon as you said that, yes, feminine freedom is about that expansive beingness.
mm.
That's so beautiful.
And so it hasn't launched yet. It's gotten delayed. So I am launching it probably in a few weeks,
Mhm.
and the doors will open mid-April. So I have lots of time. Wanted to give myself, see, that space and grace where the old Binu would be like rush, grind, hustle. And I'm like, what's the rush?
Mhm. Well, and energetically, as I said, I mean, literally, maybe we do another podcast on this one day, but the energies of the planets have not fully been in the launch mode.
Right.
They haven't. They are in the slow down, rest, renew, and I think more than ever in my life, I've definitely experienced the first quarter of this year really feeling the feminine truth of
Mm.
winter is supposed to be rest, rejuvenate, renew. So I love the launch in a few weeks when spring is coming and seeds are planted and things are ready to bloom, and so many women being ready to bloom and in that energy. So we'll share out, and as I see it on your socials, I'll share it when it comes out. And if this is resonating with anyone, I know that Binu is an incredible guide and mentor for that spiritual awakening and that limitless living and being. So, thank you.
Thank you, Lori. This has been wonderful. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you. And who knows what else we collaborate on in the future. Stay tuned.
I love it.
Thanks for being here.